Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
All right.
Hey guys,
We're back again.
we're back again. Sorry, somebody had to go do disciplinary work.
Responsibilities of dad life.
Right. So, start it off.
I can smell the cookie candle now.
Yeah, it's about time. Like that candle's like 4 months old.
And almost dead.
So, right. Hey guys, it's Mike and John with Coffee and the Bull. We want to say thank y'all for taking a moment out of your day today and giving us a listen. You know, if you're in the group that's live, leave a comment. You know, we'll get to you here in just a minute. But we are going to be doing this straight to YouTube and Spotify and all those other applications also. So we're not going to be hitting the comments too hard. But
Yep. Real quick, though, just because our people that we do know are in, Seth Dillon, what's up? Tap Mom 32, been thinking about you. I hope y'all guys are doing good in Texas. And Samantha Grant, who is that? That must be a new person. Never heard of them before.
Sounds like she grew up in a trailer park.
Right. D-Hawk.
But-
It's an interesting name you got there. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good talk.
That's-
Everybody
I
can
thought-
see your phone.
I-
Yeah, good.
I thought it was
way
somebody
to keep
else.
them engaged.
My kid
So-
brother's a big Jayhawkers fan. I thought that's
Anyway,
who it was.
Nobody likes the Jayhawks.
Yeah,
Anyway, guys, thank y'all for taking a moment out of your day and listening to
Mm.
this episode. I hope it helps. Today we're going to be talking about just kind of some of the burdens that you have as parents, and we'll go ahead and I think this will be the first ever episode. It's actually going to be like a trademark episode. We're going to include the moms in on this.
Yep.
Not really, just joking. This is a podcast for guys.
He's trying really hard to get that sexist thing going
Right,
for us.
trying to get the bandwagon going.
Right.
But no, it's going to be there's going to apply to moms too. You know,
Right.
you got whether they're married moms or whether they're single moms, whatever, or whatever application of a parental role that you're in, step
Right.
parents or whatever. You have these moments where you've got a lot going on in your life that you can't take home to your kids. You know, like we're familiar with the concept of when you go to work, you leave home at home and work at work. You know,
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not whoever says that. When you really get down to it, it's not a realistic application.
It's not.
You know, you can't take in if I've got stress going on at home, then there's no way for me not to carry that to work with me
Right.
in one form or fashion.
And we've actually talked about expressing home life problems to the boss at work on previous episodes, where it's like, hey, you got to let the boss know, maybe not every detail, but that
Right.
something's going on at home, so the boss can understand a drop in performance or
Right.
missing days of work and stuff. And so, no, 100% agree with you. You can't always leave it at the door
Right.
of what you're about to walk into. And today we're going to be talking about kind of
the flip side of that is now work following you home.
Right, and how to appropriately not only how to approach it with your children, but also how to do it when it's appropriate and what's appropriate.
Right.
Because so many times as kids, when we were young, for Mike that was decades ago because he's so old, but
Shut up.
you had those moments as a child when you went to go say something to your mom and dad, you went to talk to them, and it was immediately, hey, close the door, get out, go to your room, go to the living room, or I'm on the phone, you need to walk away. And we run into it now where we're adults, and it's like, I don't want to shut my kid out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to have that feeling that I had as a kid.
Right.
Of, did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Are they talking about me? Or, what's the situation? And so that's kind of what we're going to broach. And in some aspects where, hey, you probably shouldn't tell your kids what's going on.
Right. There's sometimes that, especially as parents, having conversations in private,
Right,
obviously
right.
are going to be applicable. But what you can't do is leave your kid in the dark all the time and tell them, hey, don't worry about it.
Right.
Because they're going to feed off your tension. They're going to feed off of what you've got going on. My son can pick up whenever I come home and I've had a bad day at
Right.
work.
Oh, yeah.
They feed off of that almost like vultures, man.
Yeah.
And so now, granted, I will give him this. He may pick up on it, doesn't mean he cares.
Right.
It's
Right.
still something going on with Legos or Connect pieces or Minecraft, something like he's going to have something going on. Or, hey,
Right.
Dad, can I have a snack? Like if I hear your voice one more time in the next hour, I'm going to put you up for adoption, kid.
Right.
But
then there's the other side of the coin where we were talking about it earlier. You have to broach some of the life struggles that you go through
Mm-hmm.
with your kids at an age appropriate level so that when your child goes through it on their own when they're an adult, they have some sort of awareness and preparedness for it. And one of the topics that we talked about was like losing your job or
Right.
struggles financially and things like that. And it's important because how many times as adults have we had a situation just come knock on the door and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Or you lost a parent at a young age, or, maybe your parents aren't that easy to talk to, and you're like, who do I turn to? Who do I ask for help? Because nobody's ever said, hey, this is what happens when you get fired.
Right.
This is what happens when, your boss comes in one day and just rips you a new one, and you're not the bad guy. You didn't do
Right.
anything wrong. You're the scapegoat for the day, or whatever the case may be. You want to be able to pass this wisdom or this guidance on to your kid so that, hey, maybe at 4 and 5 years old, they don't have to worry about getting fired. They
Hopefully.
right.
Not in this market.
Right. They got to worry about, why we don't have the good snacks, or instead of fruit gushers, we're eating fruity, squeezy, gels or something. That's a real thing, by the way. It's not. But when they get 16, 17-year-olds, they get in the workforce, and, there's guidance you can give them at an age-appropriate level that can lead them on making good choices so that your child isn't, like I was, out of a job immediately going, oh, shit, how do I pay the bills?
Right.
And luckily I had a savings account, but that was from experiences previously. That wasn't my dad ever saying, hey, bud, this could happen to you one day, because I don't think my dad's ever been fired from a job.
Right.
But at the same time, nobody ever gave me that life lesson.
Well, I got to give it to our kids, and, I'm sure most parents will agree with me. Kids are very sneaky creatures, And I'll just not to put my business out there, but me and my wife got in an argument yesterday. I was taking and I've got a dump trailer that we needed to move from the back of the property to the front where she could put some stuff in it or whatever, and so I told her, I said, look, help me back up to it, because I'm in a 1995 pickup truck, so it doesn't have a backup camera and all this other stuff, right? And so I told her, I said, look, just guide me back, and I've got a lot of experience hooking up to trailers, hauling trailers, and all this other stuff. But obviously, I don't want to get in and out a thousand times to make little minuscule adjustments.
Because no matter how many times you back it up, you could
Right.
get in that truck, be like, I am dead on it, I'm going to back straight up, and somehow you're 7 inches to the left.
It's also, on top of that, I've got a truck with a manual transmission.
Right.
And I parked it because because I was a dummy. I parked the trailer in a spot that's not level, and all this other. So there's a couple different things, environmental factors, we'll call them,
Right.
that are playing into it. And so she's got me back. And if ever you think there's a communication issue or a difference in communication, not necessarily a problem, but just a difference in communication between husbands and wives, or boyfriends and girlfriends, males, females, whatever, try to back up a trailer,
Right.
or try to
Yep.
back a truck up to a trailer, and take the guidance from the other party. It's
Right.
And so that's all it boiled down to. And I'm not gonna lie, I know that all the guys are like, man, Mike, I really want to be like you. I love how you're so patient. I love how nothing seems to get under your skin. You are the epitome of what we want to live up to. I get
Hold
that.
on, I need to get out of the room before
Right.
you get struck down.
But that's not what I was yesterday at all. Like, I lost my ever-loving mind behind the steering wheel of the car, or steering wheel of the truck. She didn't deserve it. She did not deserve it at all. She was doing the best she can
right now.
No, she's probably sleeping. So, but so I'm sitting there trying
That's
to
right,
back
Seth.
it up.
That's
and,
right.
And I'm trying to take and hook the thing up. It's just not. It's she's giving me directions. I'm not understanding the directions, and away the argument goes, right? And so I'm not gonna lie, I cursed at her. I don't remember if she cursed at me because I was so mad I didn't care what she said. I was just ready to do battle. Hey, and I don't like I told her, or my thing is, and I'm fine putting this out there because every married couple's going through that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the stupidest argument in the world. You said things that don't make sense, and you just got grumpy. So she goes inside. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't need you out of here anyway. And so I backed up to the trailer. I'll give myself credit. Hooked up really, really quick. Not that I count that as a win. Kind of do. Not really. Anyway, I hook up to the trailer, and I drive forward to the front part of the yard because I was going to wash the trailer out first before I put it where she wanted it to be. And as I go to take some stuff out. I look in the trailer, and my son is inside the trailer. He had been inside the trailer the whole time, right? I didn't know he was in there. Not that he was going to get hurt or anything. It's solid walls all the way around.
Right.
He's not as tall as a wall.
Well, and you're not on a highway or nothing. You're just driving from backyard to front.
From the back of the yard to the front. But he heard all of that. And he's sitting there almost in tears because, and I asked him, I said, buddy, what's wrong? I'm thinking maybe he hit his head on the wall when I hit the brakes or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, no. He said, I don't know why you and Mommy have to curse at each other. It's like I had to have a conversation with him where it's like, hey, look, this is something that just happens. We're mad. We're not mad at each other. We just happen to take it out on each other.
Right.
And so I try to put it down on his level. And the last thing I want to do is, well, that's because your mom's stupid. She don't know how to guide me.
Right.
You don't want to be that guy. Because one, that's not the case. So you can have that type of conversation with your son or with your children and say, hey, look, this is just it's a normal thing. It happens to everybody. We all get angry at each other and stuff like that. What you can't do is, and I'm going to go ahead and move on because I know you think something's stupid. What you can't do is have the nights that we have at work, especially being in law enforcement, or you got first responders, or firefighters, whatever they call them guys.
I don't know.
I don't know. They claim to be
secured. Maybe we'll go in.
Yeah, they wait for it to be safe or something like that. I don't know. I think they call them the cowards of the first responder community.
That's what it is. It baffles everyone that they're red and not yellow. Fire trucks used to be yellow.
Anyway, so
my point was
one thing you can't do is you can't go to work, have the nights that we have where you have somebody who passes away, and they're younger than an adult. And you take and you put them in a bag that and send them with a coroner or something like that. You can't go home with them, and when your kid's like, hey, Dad, why are you in a bad mood? Why do you seem sad and everything? You can't tell them, oh, that's because this happened. They're not ready for that conversation. You're not ready to have that conversation with them.
Right. You're not ready to have the conversation with anybody.
Right.
Specifically.
And so it's one of the things where you got to tote the line with it. But what you can't do is you can't just block them out completely. You can't say, hey, look, your kid, don't worry about it. Just go inside, play your game, or something like that.
So you weren't going to go inside and get your wife to come outside and have that conversation with your son, right?
What are you talking about?
Because you would have had to been like, hey, look, I know you're mad at me still, but our son heard everything. We need to go.
No, I don't know that she knows. I didn't tell her.
Oh, maybe it's a good thing she's not watching. No, it's funny that it is. It's funny you say that because you and your wife, you guys have been married for 94 years or whatever the math is now, and I know we've talked about it before. Like I've been present during some of your guys'. I call them spats because it's not even a longevity thing. It really is. You guys are only mad for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it's hey, where you want to go eat, or what are we gonna do, whatever. But even now, like I'm divorced, and my ex-wife and we have kids, and I do everything in my power as whatever my feelings are towards her, not to allow my kids to know how Daddy actually feels. That's a funny question, Seth. I'll address that in a second. So it's very important, especially when you're angry with each other, not to. So the two questions on the board right now, just for everybody out there, because I really do want to encourage some.
Seth Dillon asked a very, very good question. I didn't get that close to the.
Just to read it?
I didn't get that close to the computer just so I could read it.
So we are encouraging the audience and interaction in that manner. So if we read your question out loud, or those of you that are going to be listening to us later on the YouTube and Spotify and TikTok and stuff, that's what we're doing, just so you understand. This is a live as well as our episode being recorded simultaneously. So the question we have from Seth Dillon, which we'll answer first, is, Mike, how did you separate your home life when you worked for yourself? It seems a lot harder. And then Tat Mom.
Hold on, Tat Mom. So we'll come back to that one.
Yeah, I got it.
So one of the things that a lot of some of the listeners may know, they may not, is I started law enforcement in 2016, but I stepped out of it in 2020 for a couple of years, or just shy of 2 years. But over the course of I did it part time while I was with a sheriff's office, and I went into it full time, running a construction company.
Leaving law enforcement altogether.
Yeah, left law enforcement altogether. Started was doing construction, and as I was working for myself, I had employees, and that was a nightmare in and of itself. one of the things that I did, and I didn't do it successfully. I want to stress that is not from the business aspect. Not all businesses I think are meant to go forever.
Right.
I'm kind of done with physical labor if I can help it. My back says, hey, you're an old guy. I know I look young, dashing, and handsome. Muscular with a gym membership, but that's not. I'm still just a fat older guy. So but one of the things that happened was I became consumed with. It was constant work, and it was working. Me and my wife had bought a house that needed a lot of work. It was a repo, needed a crap ton of work, everything you could imagine, and I put that on hold to go work on everybody else's stuff. And I don't know if you know how mad a wife can get. And so all the ladies listening, y'all can probably vouch for this. They get livid when you go work on everybody else's stuff and you post pictures. Look how wonderful this house come out.
Right.
And your house still looks like trash for 2 years or 3.
Ooh,
I think we were in this house for 5-7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a good time. So, or a good chunk of change, or a good chunk of time. But one of the things that I did was even when I was at home, it was. We're sitting there watching TV, but I'm on Facebook. That's where I got a lot of my business from was Facebook, and so I'd be focusing on that and not really present, and that's why one of our episodes is, "Hey, I need you at home."
Right.
This one, I think that was our 3rd episode, 4th episode, something like that, and that was one of the arguments me and my wife had because man, I was working every day. I'd get up early in the morning. I'd go to work till almost dark. And, even if I didn't work till dark, it was physically demanding. So when I got home, I wasn't doing anything, man. I'm tired. My back hurts, my legs hurt, my neck hurts, whatever. Popping ibuprofen like candy.
One of the nights I came to meet you, you were out. I mean, shoot, it had to have been like 11:30 at night, and you were manually digging post holes for a fence to go up. So it was, you were definitely covered in mud. I would say you were probably in more shape back then because you did more physical labor.
Well, yeah, I was definitely in more shape there. But he's referencing a time where I was working night shifts for a sheriff's office, and then also taking and spending all day putting up fences. And so it was a lot of times where my even when I was at home, I was focused on work. How was I going to go get the next dollar? How was I going to get the next job? This person they're recommending me for this. How can because I want to make it bigger. I want to be a success and all this other stuff. But what I was doing, I was neglecting her, and she her thing was, hey, I need you at home, and it started off. I was not the person I am now, and so it was arguments where I'd come home and she's mad because this isn't done, that's done, not done. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm working a full-time job. I'm working extra, as a full-time job doing a small business, and I'm like, what else do you need from me, and it just ended up being, hey, I need you at home, like when I need a husband. Your son needs his dad to be at home. And that really, I wish I could say that I recognized what she was saying right off the bat, and I didn't. It took. I think she had that argument with me for, I want to say right at 2 years, and then it finally hit where I was like, no, I'm missing out now. Granted, I was there for some stuff, but I was missing out on a lot of things with him growing up.
The little things you don't look at.
Right. Well, it was with him growing up because you only get those. I don't want to say you only get those years once, but it's you really do. They're only that age at a certain for a certain period of time, and then with her, obviously, our relationship's good. We don't have any issues that I'm aware of. And I might be missing
when perfection walks in.
But it's we were able to work through some stuff, but. What it did is it transpired into having those World War III type arguments over stuff that there's no winning in the conversation, and we actually had one of our biggest arguments was in this time period where I said the thing in the back of my brain where I was like, I know I'm about to hurt your feelings if you don't stop. And she didn't realize where I was at in my mind because I'm stressed out, she's stressed out, and she kept arguing with me, and I said something that it was probably the most hateful thing I'd ever said to her. I wound up walking out of the house, and I had every intention to hop in the truck and leaving. I wasn't leaving like going to get a divorce or anything, but I planned on just leaving and getting out of the thing. And I remember having this thought process. I was like, if I get in this truck and I leave, if I go down this driveway, when I come back, it's not going to be the same when I come back.
Right.
And it wasn't until about a year ago me and her were revisiting that argument where it's like, hey, look, this is where I was in that, and she said no. She said if you'd have went down that driveway, she said it was 100%. It was going to be over with. I had no clue that I'd reached it to that point, and so that was a time period where I did not separate work from home.
Right.
And I would say that for the small business owners, for the guys, you run small trucking companies or land clearing or even grass cutting, man, whatever you're doing, as whether it be a side gig or even a full-time job, if you're working for yourself, it's very, very hard to put that divider in. It's very hard to block out that chunk of time. But man, you got if it means taking that phone and putting it in a bedroom and shutting the door to that bedroom for 5 or 6 hours, you got to do that, man. Because it's you might be able to grow your business, but honestly, it's going to wind up suffering in the end of it because you're going to be too burnt out. And that's family for a lot of guys represents that chance to recharge, that chance to, if you could imagine being an axe, it's a chance to sharpen that axe so that you're more productive when you do go to work. Because the last thing you want is, hey, I'm stressed out at work. I go to cut this if you got a grass cutting company, you're stressed out at home because, hey, you just had an argument with your wife because you're never at home. Your grass is high, but you're going to go cut other people's grass.
Right.
And then, you go cut their grass where you're not paying attention. You hit gravel, send rocks through somebody's window. Now they're throwing a fit. And they're mad because you already went up $5 for the cut because, gas and everything only doubled over the last couple of years, but you went at $5 a cut. And so it's just one of the things where it's like just you start having those where it just keeps losing and losing and losing. You've got to find a way. You got to have taken block off time where you say, hey, I've got to recharge. I've got to spend time with my family, and I've got to focus on them. Not just be present. You've actually got to be part of their life.
Right.
So I hope that answered Seth's question.
So, Tap Mom 32 brings up it's tough when the kids ask in the middle of the argument because they overheard you arguing.
Yeah.
And I'll say
that usually ends with, "Shut up and get out of here. You're not supposed to be listening."
Mind your business. Why are you even in here right now?
Right.
So I'll say that through my divorce, the only time my kids were ever present for an argument was the day that I actually kicked my ex-wife out of the house. And I can talk about that now that the situation's over. But essentially, we were getting divorced. But for a month, I had to pretend that everything was okay. That I didn't know she was planning to run off with my kids and go into another county area or parish and file for divorce and stuff. And so the day that they came and they served her everything and said, hey, not only are you evicted, we have this emergency custody order, we have a protective order, because we know based on the messages you're sending to your affair, you're planning to pack up and leave with these children, and we're not going to let that happen. And that was the only argument my kids have ever seen. Thankfully, my baby, she's way too young to remember any of it. But my son kind of looked up and in front of her, in front of her mother, and he goes, Daddy, how come Mommy has to leave? And I had to have that hard conversation that I had not intended to have with them right there in front of her and say, hey, sometimes grown-ups, we don't get along, and it's best that we just go separate ways for a little while. And up until probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, he had the hope that maybe Mommy and Daddy would get back together, which I can tell you right now that God himself could tell me that would save humanity, and sorry, I'm watching this world burn. But it was a topic that was tough for me to give, and that's where I started to reevaluate the conversation levels that I have with my son, because we got to have conversations. There's divorces, there's getting fired from work. There's I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills because I got a good job and whatever, but I'm not making enough money. You got to have these conversations with your kids at age appropriate levels, which is again what our topic this evening is geared around. Is having these conversations and not just saying, hey, get out. We don't need you in here right now. And so, for me, we've discussed it before. I grew up in a house where my parents didn't argue. Mm-hmm. We knew we weren't rich. We knew we didn't have all the money in the world to go on lavish stuff. We knew all year round my mom would collect soda cans, and we would crush them up, and we would take them down to the recycling place to get money. you found change walking into Walmart, you put it in your pocket and you give it to Mom when we got to the house. And she had jugs and she would sort it all out. And a week before we were to go on our vacations, Mom would, take it all down to the bank and she'd get cash and that's how we do our vacations.
Right.
And, I look back on it now and it kind of made me laugh because, as a kid, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Now that I'm an adult, I realized just how poor we were. Like we were in a borrowed, used pop-up camper that barely fit in the bed of my daddy's pickup. That made my daddy's pickup not run very well. And we would be laid down on the back. Which, by the way, I don't know how the 80s and 90s people survived because we were in the back of a camper that I know if we had wrecked.
So, yeah, we had a Pontiac Bonneville.
Yeah.
That my dad had. I don't know what year it was. It's the ugly ones. Yeah. It was one of those. And I remember the seat belts in the back didn't work. And so it had obviously three. You had the shoulder strap, just a lap band for the middle seat.
Right.
And the shoulder strap on the other side. Well, on the passenger side, the shoulder strap belt the latch didn't work, which I don't know if you know this. I know you were a mechanic for a minute. When it comes to seat belts, if the latch doesn't work, the seat belt doesn't work.
Right.
And so, my parents' approach to it, because we grew up super poor, and was we took the lap band from the middle seat, sent it through the shoulder lap, and then back around to the other one. So you stretch it out as far as you go. But not only that, so there were 6 of us. So the front of the car had, obviously the driver was my dad's seat, the passenger was my mom's seat. All 4 of us kids were in the back seat. So you got 4 kids
sharing 2 seatbelts.
We had, if you sat on the driver's side, you got the seatbelt to yourself. But if you sat in any of those other seats, all 3 of you shared 2 seatbelts that are hooked into one latch.
He's touching me.
Yeah, I would have loved for a cop to pull us over and be like, "What in the world?"
Well, do you remember the station wagons?
Mm-hmm. Lay on the backrest,
bro. I remember me and my kid sister used to have to sit in the very back of the station wagon where the things popped up in the middle,
right?
And it was like 2 bench seats with a seatbelt each. And I knew I wasn't but like 6 or 7, and I was like, I'm dead. This is not safe.
See, I never thought about that. We always took, once you got going down the road, it was okay. You had to start off with the seatbelts. But about the time they hit a highway or an interstate for a while,
right?
Oh yeah, y'all can unbuckle your seatbelts. We'd unbuckle, climb down on the floorboard, put your head on the actual seat, and just go to sleep.
Right. God, I wish. No, I remember growing up poor and my parents never having conversations about it. There was never a hey, it's not that Daddy doesn't make enough money. It's that we just have a crap load of kids, and we didn't learn that we should stop at some point. And so it put me at a disadvantage, honestly, when I became an adult, because looking at my parents, when they would have a conversation, it was my mom saying this is how it's going to be, and my dad saying yes, dear, and that's how it was. There was no discussion about what my dad wanted, what my dad thought. In his mind, the way that his reality worked is, I'm going to get up at the ass crack of dawn, I'm going to go to work until the sun's done working, and then I'm going to come home, I'm going to eat my dinner, I'm going to shower, and I'm going to go to bed. And that was his mentality, was, I provide financially, and getting him to, my dad went to 1 baseball game, he went to 1 football game, and that was it, and he went to my high school graduation.
Right.
Other things, like, now my kid sister, that was his favorite growing up, so he went to all of her things. But it was, I do enough for you. I'm doing exactly what I have to do for you. And it wasn't like a negative thing. Like, he wasn't proud, saying he wasn't proud of me or that he didn't support me. It was, I'm doing everything that I can, and if I stop doing this, I can't do for you what you need. And so, as an adult, when I go into it, I would previously go into relationships with that mentality that all I got to do is go to work, bring home the paycheck, and that's it. Kids came along and it was, okay, I got to go to work, I got to provide for the kids, and when I get home, especially when I was in the military, I was exhausted.
Right.
You get up every morning, and people don't think about it, but the military is the easiest life you could ever have. It really is. in the long run of things. Okay, and I say that because here we have jobs, right? And our jobs say this is your uniform. This is what you come to work in. You're going to work from this time to this time. And if you work over that, you're going to get paid overtime. And if you work a holiday, you're going to get paid time and a half. Military's not like that.
Right.
You work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yeah, that's right. If they call you and say, hey, you're coming in Saturday, the option is yes, sir. There is no, like, I'm not doing it, or you're going to pay me X amount. Like, that's not there. So for me, it was, I get up at the butt crack of dawn. I go do my PT, physical training, and then do whatever the training is throughout the day. And sometimes you get off 4 o'clock. Sometimes you get off 10 o'clock. And it was an easier life, and I didn't have to have crazy conversations with...
Garbo's watching.
Sorry. Hey, Garbo. I don't know if your kid told you, but we did read book 1. I read book 1. Mike doesn't know how to read. But I'm working on book 2. I'll let you know how I feel about that when I finish it. That's right. Rub it in that you don't read. So, you classy son of a bee. So the conversations that I would have with, like, my first ex-wife and stuff like that, it was real simple. Like, this is my schedule for the week. Mm-hmm. It is subject to change. It will change. I don't know why I just gave you my schedule. And play with my son and go to bed. And there was no questions. And now, being on the civilian side of it, seeing how that mentality is not good for a relationship. It's not good for having a healthy outcome with life. I've had to change everything about it. And I've had to have uncomfortable conversations with significant others to be like, hey, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And now with the kids, especially now that, I'm divorced and, try to date and everything else, the kids are going to have questions, and I don't want to lie to them.
Right.
But I have to have appropriate conversations, and it becomes a challenge when you have to step into roles that you aren't necessarily geared for because nobody ever showed you those roles,
right.
Well,
I know one of the things that I've got is, when I have a day at work, and it's just one of the things where it weighs on you, and you can't sleep. And it's not even just law enforcement gear. Like, we deal with people all the time who's got to call 911 because they witness a wreck.
Right.
And I don't know if I know not everybody gets to experience it, but if you can ever track down some of the civilians who have to call in major wrecks and explain that, hey, this person's hanging out the windshield, and this person, I think they went flying in the air, but I don't really know because in their brain that doesn't make sense. We know they got ejected. Like, those are traumatic things that they've got to witness.
Yep.
I remember a very couple of years ago now, or a year and a half ago, worked a very massive pileup on the interstate.
Yep.
And several people died, but
what was that? 150 something vehicle crash?
It was a lot. There was a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
But there were, I'd say, dozens of people who witnessed a handful of people enter the afterlife.
Yeah.
And those people have to find a way to, one, process that.
Right.
But they've all, I remember one of the guys, he had his daughter in the truck with him, and they were on the way to the airport. And she's very young, and he's trying to explain to her what just happened in front of him, but he's still trying to process it too.
Right.
And it's like, you've got to find a way to have those conversations with your kids where, hey, I'm stressed out. I don't have all the answers. I don't have, I don't know why I feel the way I do right now. And there's nothing wrong with explaining that to your kids is, hey, I don't have the answers. I don't know what's going on. I'm working through some stuff, but I might be grouchy for a little bit. I'm not mad at you. Like, I've had to have that conversation with my son because I snapped at him, a couple of days ago. And granted, he deserved to get, his butt chewed a little bit.
Did he?
He didn't deserve it at the level that I gave it to him. And so I had to call him over. I'm like, look, I'm a little stressed out. I've got some stuff going on, and I'm not mad at you, but understand that hey, you're doing all this stuff. You don't really know everything that's going on. Right. And now granted, he's yes sir, and he acts like he understands it. I don't know that he does all the way.
Right.
But if I just leave it as, hey, I snapped. He'll get over it. He deserved to get yelled at anyway,
Right.
and I move on. He's just going to think, man, Dad's being a jerk, you know.
Right.
And that's just going to follow, and that compounds. I mean, look at how many times, you know, everybody wants to blame everything on, oh, my dad didn't hug me enough or my dad yelled
Yeah.
at me. Well, your dad had a lot of crap going on, you know. And again, nothing against moms, but your dad had a lot of stuff going on that you don't know about, you know.
Right.
I could only imagine how stressed my mom and dad had to be. Either one, they were stressed, or two, they were the most oblivious people in the world.
Four kids plus 2 adopted.
Well, yeah, they adopted 2 later, but I remember back in the early '90s, my dad wasn't making very much money at all. My mom was doing what she could. It wasn't nothing against him. His career, it just wasn't paying that well.
Right.
And
Bro.
I remember they went we would go to car dealerships, right? And for whatever reason, they thought it was a good idea. Let's bring all the kids, mainly because nobody would babysit our bad.
I was gonna say, let's be real.
You know,
could you be trusted the 4 of you
but,
alone?
Yeah, it's a lot to ask somebody. Hey, can you babysit all 4 of my little hellions?
Especially when the ringleaders are you and your brother, Matt.
But so you take and they would bring all 4 of us to a car dealership, you know, and it was not when obviously everything's electronic. They did it over the phone, so it took all freaking day,
Right.
just to be told no, this is not going to be a good deal, you know,
Right.
And so you would spend day after day after day after day. But meanwhile, we're taking and we're like, let's test drive all these cars, you know. I didn't give a crap about price or didn't know what a note was or interest rate. And the interest rate was how interested I was in the car, you know, and so we're hopping in. I mean, we look like the National Lampoon's just redneck.
Right.
You know,
those car salesmen are like, please break something so that we can make your parents buy that vehicle.
Right. Well, it had to be a salesman's worst nightmare because one,
Oh, yeah.
you've got kids bouncing around everywhere. You've got it was back whenever they're playing hardball with negotiating back and forth, you know.
Right.
And so you got to deal with that stress on top of it. And then my dad wasn't making a lot of money, so the approval process is not going to be an easy one.
Right.
You know, and I can't tell you how many. Man, we'd be bouncing around through all these different it was vans and all this other stuff, and it's just. It was the most miserable time not understanding what's going on and be like, why can't we just buy this thing and get out of here? Kids don't understand everything that's going on. I didn't understand what stress my dad was under because obviously we're at a car dealership. It's not because we want to go get a brand spanking new car. It's because we need a freaking car.
Right.
You know, we need, my mom needs something to get us to school or get us to the grocery store or whatever. And so I remember I didn't care about it. So if I didn't care about it when I was a kid, why would my kids care about it now?
Right.
You know, and so it's one of the things where he didn't have a conversation saying, hey, I'm just, obviously we're poor. He told us we were poor. You know, every time we go to get clothes or whatever, no, you knew what racks to shop from.
Right.
And which ones not to. But that translates now to, when I'm in the father role and I obviously experience the stressors and things that you go through as a parent. Now it's, okay, how can I've got to equip my son for later on in life,
Right.
you know, and so obviously I don't want to tell him, hey, daddy's kind of stressed out. We don't have enough money to pay all the bills.
Right.
So we're probably going to get your PlayStation 5 repossessed or whatever, you know. Obviously you can't go have that type of conversation with him because you don't need the kid thinking we're about to not have a roof overhead. I'm not in a spot, unless somebody wants to donate a bunch of money because you feel bad for me. I'm not in a spot that, that we're about to lose our house or anything like that. But it's one of those things where you can't. Obviously, we all have financial stress. You can't bring that on and just dump that onto your kids. But they need to also understand. They can understand. Hey, we're not buying that. We need, like you mentioned earlier, we need to take a break from buying
Right.
all these snacks and stuff right now. We're eating healthier.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. Not even just snacks, just the good snacks. Like,
Right.
why we got Nutri-Grain? Nutri-Grain
Right.
don't sue
You
us.
don't need the second edition of whatever game
Right,
come out
right.
right now. Like you can chill out. You don't need the extra skins for your character.
I have a side question for you.
Okay.
Okay. And I thought about this the other day. Okay. And I'll tell you my answer after you tell me your answer. Hey, Trudy.
Hey, Trudy.
So we both say, we're pretty adamant we grew up pretty poor, right? And it wasn't poor because our parents had bad jobs or bad money. It was that our parents had too many kids to pay, for
too many kids.
what it is.
My dad was a cop in the early 90s.
Right,
They weren't making any money. I know at one point he got into selling I think life insurance or something like that.
Right.
He wound up getting laid off because the company had issues. And I don't know the exact process, but somehow he ended up working on a dairy farm. And so
Interesting.
We would get out of school, we'd get bused to the dairy farm, and you're milking, or not. My mom would be milking the cows, but all the calves and stuff, we're bottle feeding them,
Right.
And, running around and doing all kinds of dumb stuff, barefoot and nasty and cow crap.
So what was Mike's first job? The one thing that you're
My
like,
first
this is my
job?
first paying job. What was it?
For like actual job, not like clocking hours there, or just odd job.
Like actual job that you were going to get a paycheck from, not like paperboy, not like I picked up ads on Craigslist.
Yeah. So
first real job.
First real job was cutting grass at a golf course.
Okay. Do you remember your very first paycheck?
It was like $200, $250, something like that.
What did you spend your money on? From your very first paycheck.
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember.
So
I remember I spent some money prior to, because it was cutting grass we were doing. I say cutting grass. Hey, here's a weed eater that you're not supposed to be able to break, but somehow y'all keep breaking it, so we're going to keep giving you the crappy one. And so I remember I bought a pocket knife to be able to cut the weed eater string, and a CD player it was a Sony CD player. I think it was still Walkman brand or Walkman model, but it had the anti-skip function.
Right.
And it was just small enough to fit in the back pocket of my blue jeans.
It skipped though, didn't it?
I was balling in 2006.
Still skipped though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Anti-skip my
things
ass.
called CDs, not digital files.
So throwing this out there, Trudy throwing out that her first job was milking cows on their farm, and Alex, who just joined, I'm not sure what this says.
Can you clarify a little bit for us, Alex? I can't read it because I'm too far from the computer screen.
It was when the child is T and the finna is gag, sis, I'm dead as a child. I don't know what that is. Trudy's first paycheck, she bought a pair of Gearbod jeans.
Gearbod.
Yeah. And
Maybe,
whomever
I don't know how to say that.
Alex it says, all this for viewers is crazy. All this for 4 viewers, maybe? I'm not sure.
I think he's just talking trash. That's all.
Not sure who Alex is. So, Jason Garbo says, I got my first job at 13 working for Primos Wild Game Calls. Jason, what'd you buy with your first paycheck? So the reason I asked this, okay, is
his first paycheck, they paid that dude so old they paid him in coin.
I believe that actually.
Take that, Jason.
He got paid in AD. Like just after BC, but around the AD time frame. So I remember my first paycheck, right? And I'm the middle child of all of my siblings. Okay, I've got 3 older brothers, and I've got 3 younger siblings. And my first paycheck, okay, no bullshit. I bought nice clothes, like stupid nice, like for no reason. I bought nice clothes. I bought a. Some comments on the live were filtered to protect community's experience. So somebody commented something they weren't supposed to. You be nice out there. I bought 2 toys. All right. I bought this massive tank. I'm not joking. This thing was this big that would drive forward and backwards. The turret spun around. It shot missiles and Nerf darts. And I bought an Apache helicopter. I was 17 years old, Mike. And I bought this because I knew going into the store that if I would look at my parents like, I want that. Even at a young age.
Right.
Nope, we don't have the money for that. We don't have the money for that. Well, I made my own money.
So I didn't get to waste too much of my money on dumb stuff like that. Mainly because my first truck was a 94 Chevy Cheyenne that got maybe 8 miles a gallon.
Which is ironic because now you drive a 95 Chevy.
Right. We lived, forever away from everything. So my paycheck went to gas and insurance.
Right.
My dad knew what he was doing. You can't buy stupid stuff if you're paying for gas and insurance and everything else.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure whomever the person Alex is, and just so we address this right now, I don't know who Alex is, but you have 4 followers and you're following 1,415 people. So I feel like you're just here to talk trash. I'm gonna fix this camera. Please tell me more about your new truck.
No.
No. Defiance. It likes me today.
Yeah. So we'll edit this part out for everybody on Spotify and everything else. However, for all the people on live, if you look at John's face, it'll give you nightmares. So good luck with that. Good luck trying to sleep tonight. What are you doing?
Is it still there?
Bro, if that worked.
Is it?
You can't pick. You can't. You can't
That
pick
worked.
who you start a podcast with. You just have to hope that they're not that dumb. Oh my god!
It worked. It worked. I don't care how stupid that looked. It worked. It worked. It worked.
Oh my god!
It worked.
You look so dumb.
It did. I felt dumb. And all I could think is I'm gonna crawl
You
back.
gonna feel that tomorrow morning when you go to get out the bed.
My
Like,
knee
oh,
hurts.
that's one time I got on the ground.
Yeah, my knee hurts from coming back this way.
Get that ibuprofen. I need a lidocaine patch.
All I can think is my ass is gonna be coming back into the chair.
That's funny. That's funny. So stupid.
It worked though, did it not?
It did work. It did work.
I mean,
For everybody on Spotify and YouTube, they'll never know that this happened.
All 4 viewers that we had. Oh God. So anyway, back to our topic here. Oh God. Oh, Shorty Streams, what's up? Hey, we know her. She worked with us at that one agency. So we get back on topic here. The reason I ask is because we always talk about growing up poor and you know having a lot of siblings and stuff like that. And I always wondered if I was the only one, like with my first paycheck, if I just bought stupid shit that knowing this is a stupid purchase, like I wouldn't do it now. You couldn't convince me to go to the store with my next paycheck and be like, buy yourself some toys.
From the parental standpoint, I know one of the things we do is we stress out because our kids may not have everything. Me and my wife had to take our son. He got invited to a birthday party the other day, and so we show up and we go to this neighborhood, and we knew it was going to be it's a nicer neighborhood,
right?
And when we show up in this house, this thing, man, I'll be honest with you, the outdoor kitchen for this house probably cost more than my whole house. I'm talking about it was amazing. How
do you have these kind of friends?
It is just gorgeous. It's not my friend. It's my son's friend from school.
Oh,
they just happen to go to the same school. I don't even know. I don't know the parents. I don't know what they do.
Like I'm sitting here I'm stuck with this friend here.
Right.
Your kids' friends
I'm
are
stuck with a friend
mine.
who just face planted on the floor in front of an AI tracking camera. But so we
worked.
So we taken it's real easy from the parental standpoint, like, man, my son doesn't have this. He doesn't. He's not in a nice house like this. Like, you're looking around, and you're like, man, this thing is just amazing.
Right.
My son doesn't care. He couldn't have given 2 craps because he was running around the house just like all the other kids. When he's doing having just as much fun at that house as he does whenever we're just hanging out at my house. So it's things that I find that we care about as parents. Sometimes it doesn't even register on the kid's radar.
Right.
I didn't care. I don't think I cared at all that I grew up on a dairy farm. That when you run around barefoot and cow crap.
Right.
We moved up to the I'll say it, the butthole of Alabama. Like we were 45 minutes from everything. I didn't care at the time of my life.
Which is the entire state.
My dad was probably like, man, I wish we'd had a nicer house. I wish we had a nicer car. I didn't care. It was what it was. There was one point. He had bought somehow this. I don't know how this made sense. I really don't. If I asked him about it now, I'm sure he still not going to be able to come up with anything. Somehow he had 4 kids, and him and my mom, they decided the vehicle of choice was going to be a single cab Toyota pickup truck, not the full size, like Tacoma size cab, right? Single cab Toyota.
We in that Toyota love
that came with a camper shell from the dealership.
Oh.
So all four of us.
Your dad doesn't have luck with camper shells.
All four of us would ride in the back of that camper shell the whole time.
Right.
As a kid, looking back, I'm like, man, that was horrible. As a kid, I didn't care. Dude, it was wintertime. We threw a mattress back there with a quilt my grandma made.
Right. I used to fight trying to get in the bed of the truck with my brothers.
Right.
Daddy had a poo brown is what we call it, poop brown.
Mm-hmm.
It was tan, but it was bought from my grandfather. He bought it from my mama's daddy, and I think he may have paid him $500 for it. Right. You know, this is back in the day when trucks, you know, really were like $500 to $1,000,
Right.
and you were like, well, that's a good deal. We would fight to see who could ride in the bed of Daddy's pickup. And I wanted to ride in the bed because I always had to sit next to Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he's a very large man. And so I'd have to ride next to him, which wasn't that bad except that he had a manual pickup.
Right.
I don't know that my father's ever owned an automatic anything. And so sitting with him, I had to sit. It was him, me, my sister, my mama. And my mama was a very sturdy gal. So it was more me crammed into Dad's hip. And
We call those heifers on the farm.
I can't believe that you just called my dead mama a heifer. Wow. The level of offensive this evening, sir. How dare you?
No, so hold on, hear me out. She had kids, so she's not a heifer anymore. Anyway.
Wow. Even Seth Dillon said, wow.
Yeah. Not funny when I derail your conversation, is it?
Yeah, don't derail
Yeah.
on negative comments about your mother.
Hey, I didn't.
She's
I don't
still a
fight fair.
saint.
I don't fight fair.
Also, I just want to point out, even Shorty Stream says, damn. I'll tell you who that is after the show.
Anyway.
Jason just said, he's so old, they used to cut the seatbelts out of our cars, and I would lay in the back window.
So, first off,
Did the Model T have seatbelts?
He said his first job was at 13, so it was before, he predates child labor laws. So figure that one out. All right, take that one, Jason.
So anyway, before you insulted my dead mother, happened to sit in a single cab F-150 next to my massive father. I had to keep one leg and I had to tuck it underneath the driver's seat. Because if I
so
had
the gear shift wouldn't hit your knee.
No, it was so that my foot wouldn't be near his foot by the gas pedal. He would stomp, and I'm talking about whole, like, massive 13-inch boot just on my little baby toes because I was just a kid. Had to put my other leg into the passenger side without messing with my sister while Dad would mash the gears and slam his elbow into my chest repeatedly and then go, you should sit back. I never had a seatbelt. I had a forearm that kept me in place.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. That was my dad. Just a big jerk. I can't believe you insulted my dad. Jason also said
I didn't
LOL.
insult your dad.
Yeah, you did because you said
Insulted your mom.
yeah, which
There's
in
a
turn
difference.
insulted my father.
No,
He said that
no,
my father
I talked
dates
to Bill earlier
cows.
when you lied.
It was not a lie.
It was a lie.
We called my dad because one time as a child, I put an encyclopedia in my pants to prevent a spanking.
I called bullcrap.
And made it worse.
I was like, no, you didn't. You did
He-
not.
he said that it
you did
didn't
not
happen.
stick a hardbound or hardcover book in your pants and think you was going to get away with it.
Oh, I did. I
so
did.
he calls his dad. He goes,
100%.
hey, Dad, remember that time you gave me a whipping and I put something in my pants and it wasn't going to help? I thought it would help, but it didn't. His dad goes, nope.
Yeah, smooth threw me under both
Nope,
like you
nope.
didn't
So,
remember
yeah,
it.
Yeah, so sometimes the people you start podcasts with, they lie to you.
That's not.
And
That's not true.
just-
And sometimes
that's
they
just
insult
what-
your dead
that's what
mother.
foundations are built
Yeah,
on.
through your dead mom. By the
So-
way, this was her anniversary to the day that she died. So thanks for making it even better.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's not.
Glad I could be of assistance.
It's not at all. But in that, I think that still the best part of that conversation is asking my dad if he had any good memories
He
of
said,
my
"Nope."
childhood. And he goes, "Yeah, the time you got arrested for throwing French fries on a light fixture. It's a true story. I got a fry felony." I know I've told you the story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but
We'll
nobody listening to this knows. So why don't you just quit stringing them along and tell them the story?
Oh, well, I got into a food fight at
Yeah, you're
McDonald's,
welcome, guys.
and somehow the fries went into the light fixture, and it caught fire, and I was arrested in Colorado for felony arson, and it got reduced to misdemeanor arson, which isn't a crime anywhere, and then they reduce it down further to disturbing the peace. There's a whole story to it, but it's kind of vulgar, so I don't want to go down that road. Not as bad as insulting someone's dead mother, but, you know, it's there. Do you remember
She hasn't
that
called to complain.
Dead people usually don't call.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen cats.
I'm not Bruce Willis,
Yeah.
you know, or that weird creepy kid that sees dead people.
Well,
Since you want to get back on topic, though, let's talk about some more conversations that are difficult to have.
this one. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I think we pretty much beat that dead horse. We're not going to get that train back on the tracks. So I appreciate y'all listening. I hope you enjoyed it. For those of y'all who started off on the live and stayed all the way through, I don't know how you did it. I know it was painful.
That's impressive.
Y'all
All
are
four of
troopers,
you.
and we appreciate it. Appreciate all the likes, the comments, and everything. Guys, we hope if you got something you want to listen to or a comment or conversation you want to hear about, shoot us an email, shoot us a message, shoot us snail mails. It'll be smoke signals in the air. He's part Navajo, so he can read those.
Easy.
We want to cater this to y'all so that y'all you get
Fire
what you
in
want.
that direction.
This is obviously, this is going to be the end of this episode, but going forward,
Yeah, we'll probably keep the live going for just a few more minutes.
we're going to end the regular podcast, but we'll keep live going if y'all want to chit chat for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to Seth, Tatted Mom,
Seth
Trudy.
is still here.
Seth is still here. He wants to sponsor an episode.
Oh, you got to give us an idea, kid.
That's right. All about it. I hope you know.
So-
I hope you understand that by sponsor, we're talking about like give us a topic, an idea, a suggestion.
Or money. $60 million.
$1 billion.
But anyway,
stop thinking
so
small.
for the rest of the guys on Spotify, YouTube, we're going to go ahead and end this episode. Live guys, y'all sit tight for a second.
Right.
So, do you want to do it?
No.
Too late. Toodaloo!